I used to wake up energized and ambitious, but by noon I couldn't think straight. It wasn't burnout, it was how my day was built. There was a period where every morning felt powerful, strong intentions, decent amount of energy, big plans for the day. I'd sit down and be ready to execute. But somehow by midday the clarity would dissolve. Not because I didn't care, not because I lacked discipline, but because my mental energy had already been drained. And to be honest, I didn't even realize how. Once I understood what was going on, I rebuilt my day to optimize for energy, not urgency, and then everything changed. Focus stabilized, work became clearer, results became more consistent. None of that required working more hours, it required working in the right order. Let me explain. In the beginning of building anything, things feel simple, you can see everything clearly. Every task is visible, every idea feels important, every improvement seems necessary. And it kind of feels like there's momentum in that chaos. But it gets to a point as the project grows, even something as simple as content, a brand, a side business, the number of tasks grows quietly. Write, edit, design, optimize, research, promote, reply, always have the next thing to plan. And suddenly your brain is holding 20 open loops at once. You wake up with energy because your intention is clear, but you lose energy throughout the day because your direction isn't compressed. There's something called cognitive load. Your brain can only hold a limited number of variables before your performance drops. When the limit is exceeded, your thinking becomes slower, you become overwhelmed, your energy drops, and simple tasks require more effort. Not because you're incapable of doing them, but because your mental bandwidth has dropped. Now I add something else, decision fatigue. Every small thing consumes energy. What small thing should I focus on next? Is this the right priority? Should I fix this thing now? Did I respond to that? These micro decisions add up. By the time it's noon, your mental battery is half empty, even if you haven't done anything visibly hard. That's why morning feels sharp and afternoons feel foggy. It's not random, it's just a structure problem. There's also something called attention residue. When you switch tasks from checking notifications to messaging someone to researching something, your attention remains stuck on the previous task as well as the current one. So even when you return to the original task, your attention isn't fully there. You're split, and split attention sometimes feels exhausting. Now here's where it gets interesting. When energy drops and clarity fades, most people think the problem is motivation, so they try to push harder, push through it. More coffee, more pressure, more expectations, more intensity, but intensity doesn't fix this problem. It doesn't fix fragmentation. Doesn't fix burnout. It only amplifies it. And that was my mistake. I thought I needed more drive to get me through the mornings into the afternoons. But actually what I needed was fewer directions. So I rebuilt my day around one principle, and that was protect peak energy. For most people, it's the first 1 to 3 hours of waking up. That's when cognitive flexibility, creative thinking, willpower is at its strongest. And if that window is spent reacting to things, to notifications, your power is already dropped. So the first change I made was simple. No inputs for the first hour, no checking, no scrolling, no messaging people. Just one defined task, not a list of them. It had to be something that actually moved the needle long term. Not maintenance, not small minor fixes, real progress work. And first, to be honest, it feels uncomfortable. There's anxiety in not checking everything constantly. But I found after about a week, everything seemed to shift. Mainly midday fog seemed to reduce because the important work was already handled. The second change I made was eliminating internal chaos. Instead of keeping everything floating in my head, I wrote everything down, and I did this once per day. Every open loop, every pending idea, every to-do list or reminder. Then I decided do, delegate, schedule, or delete. The reality is open loops drain energy in the background without you even thinking about them or being aware of them. If you write them down and create a plan for them, the loops get closed, even if it's just scheduling. This frees up cognitive space and it stops energy draining. Third shift I made was limiting active priorities. Not overall goals, but daily priorities. I'd limit this to 3 maximum. Because when everything feels important, your brain stalls. When only 3 things matter, at least you could focus on them and actually get things done towards them. Fourth shift was batching tasks. Instead of mixing creative work with communication and admin and messages, I separated them. Deep work first, communication later. This reduced context switching. And when context switching dropped, depth increased, and I find doing something deeply produces momentum, and momentum reduced feeling overwhelmed. The final shift was recovery. Most people, when they think of exhaustion, they need a vacation. Actually, often they just need rhythm. Short resets during the day, whether that's a 5-minute walk, a few deep breath exercises, a bit of light stretching. But research shows even short amounts of breaks scattered throughout the day reduce cortisol and improve focus. And when the nervous system is calmer, thinking sharpens. And let's address something subtle. Sometimes when there's too many tasks, the brain reacts by jumping between them. Start with one thing, then switch to another thing. Sometimes it feels productive because you're doing multiple things at once, but it's actually a stress or anxiety response. Your brain is constantly searching for relief. Structure removes that need. When days stop feeling reactive and chaotic, your nervous system settles. And when your nervous system settles, your thinking becomes sharper. And when thinking sharpens, your execution becomes cleaner. Here's the moment that shifted everything for me. It didn't suddenly increase my workload or become more disciplined or unlock a new reserve of willpower. I just reduced internal noise, and once the noise dropped, the internal friction also decreased. Not completely because we're human, but a significant amount. And most noticeably, that midday slump, that drop in energy, seemed to fade a bit. I no longer was wondering what was going on. Clarity that I had seemed to last longer. Decisions felt lighter. Work stopped feeling like friction. And I stopped questioning my character because it was never about character. It was design. If you wake up with intention and clarity but lose it throughout the day, then something is going on. It is the natural outcome of cognitive overload and poor sequencing. If you feel scattered because of too many moving parts, then that's not a motivation problem, that's a fragmentation problem. If your brain feels tired because there's too many places to even begin, that's not a laziness problem, that's an energy issue. The solution is having a clear structure, being very deliberate in the order of your day. Protect your daily priorities so your brain isn't constantly negotiating throughout the day. Batch similar tasks to avoid context switching. Close open loops regularly. And build small recovery snapshots throughout the day. Success is rarely about doing more. It's about doing fewer things at the right time with full intention. When your day is structured properly, you stop having those constant small energy leaks. Focus becomes sustainable, not forced, not frantic. That is what shifted in my life. Not a new goal, not a new identity, just a better sequence. Systems work better when they're supported in a clear structure. Check the description for the challenge and community designed to help you lock in. Like the video and subscribe for more clarity like this. And I'll see you on the next one.